Let's see. In my summer class course here that I'm taking, um, we're studying, well, one of many things. One of the things we're studying is why do people obey the law? And there's many theories, but a couple of theories is one is because of self-interest, group interest. Um, that it's in the best interest of a group to follow these sanctions, which really are ways of life. Sanctions in this sense, we're talking about entities outside that influence people's behavior. So that could be culture, that could be religion, um, or organizations, groups, family, smallest unit, that influence how people should behave, how people should act, and so forth. So it's these type sanctions that eventually form into um, laws and policy, or some type of form of government, some type of form of organizations. So just think about it. So your biggest influencers to lawmaking would be organized units, whether that's religious, whether that's business. In a lot of our cases today, is business. They have their lobbyists. They pay tons of money, man, to push legislation through our government. Some of you may not know, but a lot of the legislation is written by private lobbyists and private industries, where they create these laws and push them to the senators, and the senators just push it through. It's not like these senators themselves are writing, their team or teams are writing these legislative body legislation literature, from my understanding. Somebody could correct me. So with that being said, so why do people obey the law? So that's one, because of group interest. The other is how do people continue to do well? Let me back up. Another, of course, is protection. Certainly, if one group has resources, they want to be able to protect those resources, be able to hold on to those resources. So abiding by the law will help keep them in power, whoever those to be. Another is, to me, is one of the key is legitimacy, which speaks on that the people have to be brought into a social construct where they are normalized behavior, or politicized, another way of saying behavior, meaning they're brought up in a certain way to give respect to offices of authority. And those offices of authority is valued by the people, giving whatever degree of legitimacy to that office. So if the legitimacy is low, right, you could potentially, there could be an overthrow of government. If the legitimacy is high, right, it will continue to create the order of the day. So one aspect of continuous conflict and controversy today is about the legitimacy of policing, police officers. And you hear this talk about over well, depolicing the police, defunding the police, or so forth. This is a legitimacy issue, because as the people begin not to trust in the operations of the police agency, the legitimacy of the police agency to do their job becomes in jeopardy. Now, it should be understood too that the police role, they are the gatekeepers into the criminal justice system. However, they are not the ones who really test the system whether it can produce justice. The court systems, the court system, that's their job, to allow due process where all sides can be heard. And the court process is really the heaviest identity or entity that really weighs heavy on the legitimacy of our government and legitimacy of the criminal justice system. If the court system is not faring out fair, there probably mass chaos, right? What one record did find is that, or research found, was that regardless of how the outcome of something comes out, say like, it's not a favorable outcome, but people really didn't care about the outcome. They just cared about having their voice being heard, or having a way where they could be heard, right? To me, that's very dangerous, because if I create a system where I allow people to view say both sides of their story, but yet the system is designed in a way where it's going to be biased to one side, to me, that's not justice, right? But in view, in public, or in appearance, it appears like there is equal justice going on, when there really is not. One example of maybe a danger of this is what we call plea bargains. Plea bargains. That's where the prosecutor, state attorney, office, district attorney, however it's called in your area, will say to an offender, hey, look, if you plead guilty, we won't give you this XYZ, but we'll give you something way less XYZ. And so, but we could, if we do prosecute you, you could do XYZ time, and we will, they'll threaten you and all this direct, and you sign some out of duress, and you get some of a lesser charge, and you coming through the gate of the system, not having a chance to contest your innocence. And you may feel like you're innocent, but you feel like the court won't see you as innocent. Maybe because of your past, or maybe who you were with, maybe the circumstances, and so forth. Though it appears you had an opportunity to fight, you really got pinned in to take something lesser, which is, I would say, makes the legitimacy of the court less. But a lot of times what happens is usually the poor, usually the ones that don't have long money to be able to defend themselves in these court situations where they take these pleas. And of course, who are the ones that benefit most by these laws, by the policies and procedures and so forth? Those who are in power and those who have money. And so those folks' voice are heard the loudest. And so the legitimacy rate of the government still stands, even though the poor is being ran over, forgotten about, misused, and abused, right? So those are some of the reasons why people obey the law. And in those circumstances, people of impoverished situations may obey the law out of duress, out of fear, out of threat. So it's a very different concept between the ones in power of why they obey law and have legitimacy, and the ones who are not empowered in some economically empowered or so forth, why they may not have legitimacy. So yes, I thought these are some things very interesting to think about. So when you watch the news, when you see headlines, when you hear attorneys make arguments and judges make arguments in court, think about the legitimacy level of that system, and how even the defendants, and mainly like the defendants, are approaching charges. Do you so easily agree with people in authority? Do you so easily agree with people in authority that you don't even realize what rights that you have to exercise your rights through a system where you can get fair, at least attempt to get fair justice? Rather than just because you're being heard, sometimes that's nothing. Is it being documented? Is it being recorded? When they give you an ultimatum, do you ask, what are my other options? Can you put that in writing? Anytime they don't want to put something in writing, that should be a red flag. Right? Or on record, court record, recording. If they don't want to put it in record or recording, that should be a red flag. But yeah, these are just some things to observe as you listen to the political cloud of our day. So S. Marshall Talk Bills here. Peace and love. I see y'all in the wind.